What's up, Vetters? Patrick here with Vetted. This is a long video, so let's jump into this. I've got two different interviews to show you. One with Dr. Stephen Greer and one with Dr. Avi Loeb. They both went on Newsmax, and these interviews are really hard to find. They're not just on YouTube. So I've got the full interviews. I was able to get them. And what's this about? It's about the object, the Atlas object that is headed for Earth that people have said is an alien spaceship. It's not, it's just a comet. You know, Avi Loeb has since updated his position on this and more leaning towards an alien craft. He is 40% sure, according to this new interview, that this is an alien craft. 40% sure.
I give it a 40% chance of having a designed trajectory, something that was planned by some intelligence out there.
And you give this a 40% chance that this is somehow an alien technology, 40%?
Yes.
And now Dr. Stephen Greer was brought on to Newsmax to talk about this comment as well. And it's very interesting, this interview. You know, and it happens before the Dr. Avi Loeb one. So, and the Newsmax, Finnerty is his name, the news reporter does confront Dr. Stephen Greer about, hey, remember back in January, because back in January, he went on Finnerty and other places, his own podcast, Dr. Stephen Greer did, and sort of promised disclosure within a matter of first, like 72 hours at one point. It was weeks and months, you know. Basically, he sort of asked him about this, like, hey, what's going on with all that? What happened? So anyway, let's jump into this. First, we're going to cover the Dr. Stephen Greer interview on Newsmax, and then we'll get to the Dr. Avi Loeb one. Please, Vetters, hit that like button. That really helps out the videos. And of course, if you're not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button. I'm trying to get to 100,000 subscribers before the end of the year.
Have you heard about the giant object hurtling through space, heading toward Earth as we speak? The comet named 3I Atlas was originally thought to be a comet, but one Harvard professor says it's not. According to Professor Avi Loeb, who's going to join us tomorrow night, the Manhattan-sized object has a 0.005% chance of being a natural object in space, and he believes it could be an alien spacecraft, saying that, quote, the object's orbit would make it easier for an intelligent craft to approach Earth without being noticed. It gets closest to the sun in late November. Then the object is hidden from Earth's view, allowing it to carry out a secret high-speed maneuver to slow down and prepare for an attack. Now I've got your attention, I hope. But what's even more mysterious, the object began its 80-year journey through the Milky Way galaxy just as humanity began widespread radio broadcasting into space. And with no international protocol for possible alien contact, I'll just say that certain scientists are at least a little bit concerned. But we have the perfect guest on to explain what's going on. Joining us now for more, the founder of the Disclosure Project, Dr. Stephen Greer. Dr. Greer, great to have you back on. So just a couple of highlights. This object discovered with a small telescope, like a hobbyist could have this telescope. It was found from Chile. It's somehow more illuminated than typical comets. Its trajectory is unusual. It's on the plane of the Earth's orbit around the sun, and it's accelerating right now. What do you think this thing is?
Well, it's less likely to be a manufactured alien object than a stray type of large rock asteroid. Now, whether it poses a threat to the Earth is another question. We do know from a Delta Force operative named Jake Barber and his team that years ago there was an asteroid that could have hit the Earth that was intercepted and didn't hit us because of an extraterrestrial vehicle moved it away from the Earth. So, interestingly, Wernher von Braun in 1974 predicted that the psychological warfare operations trying to stir up sort of a global cabal of totalitarian power around the fear of aliens would say that initially, before they would hoax an alien event, they would create asteroid threats and create a panic over that. So I tend to be skeptical about the kind of fear and hype around this sort of thing. We should get better eyes on it, obviously. I agree with putting out some sort of a spacecraft that could look at it more closely. But, a comet is a very different thing than a large asteroid-type rock that could have been stray and moving in. So, again, I think we have to get better intelligence on it.
Okay, so you do not think this is an alien spacecraft?
I think it's unlikely. And actually, Dr. Loeb has kind of said that that was sort of a hypothesis as sort of an academic exercise, but that he didn't actually think it was an alien spacecraft either.
Well, I'm going to ask him all about it tomorrow. And some people at home are like, well, why does Finnerty do this? Why is he interested in this sort of thing? Look, because eventually it's going to be the one, Dr. Greer. You know that.
Yep.
Now, there's still more to this interview, and we'll get to it. I sort of cut it in half here. What's interesting about the Newsmax reporter here is he's really trying to get Dr. Stephen Greer to say this is an alien spaceship, right? That's coming, right? So just so interesting. And I think that's what this guy thought would happen. And Dr. Stephen Greer is being very elusive about that. Dr. Stephen Greer, also is kind of being reasonable here, I have to admit, right? And he makes a good point that, if these ships were coming, they're interdimensional. I mean, they'd be here, like, they're not traveling slower than the speed of light, they'd be traveling way faster than this. So that's an interesting point, which I agree with, to be honest with you. But it is very interesting that he's sort of tempting him, right? The news reporter to Dr. Stephen Greer. Greer's not really biting. But like I said, this reporter does do a good job of confronting him here in the second half of the interview, especially at the end, about, hey, what happened to the disclosure promises, right? And don't forget, we've got the Dr. Avi Loeb interview that he did with Finnerty as well coming up, because they did talk, and that is a fascinating one. So stay with us. But here's the rest of the Dr. Stephen Greer interview on Newsmax.
Okay, so explain this. This Atlas comet is what they're calling it. It's officially now the fastest interstellar object ever recorded. If this is not a comet, what else could it be that can go that fast and then have the ability to accelerate?
Well, I mean, whether that data is correct, I don't know. And what I'm saying is that an actual interstellar vehicle is going to go beyond the speed of light transdimensionally, across dimensions. And we know how those operate. We've retrieved and reverse engineered more than 1,000 of them over the last 80 years. This is a fact that you can see in our intelligence archive, and it's in the materials that I've provided to the president. So I don't think it really comports with a high-tech extraterrestrial civilization. Okay. Now, could it be some stray extraterrestrial detritus that's been out there for 1 million years? Yeah.
Wait, what'd you say? What is that? It's a whatcherus?
Like a detritus, like just garbage out in space of an extraterrestrial origin that has been out there for thousands or millions of years. It's possible. Because, there's obviously been life in the universe since long before humans have been here.
Okay. Here's the interesting thing. October 29th, this thing makes its kind of slingshot around the sun. Scientists say that it will, break up, or it will somehow manage to get around, and we'll be able to see it again on the other side. Right. So we could know a lot more about this within like the next 90 days? Is that plausible?
I think, if they do the correct imaging, they should be able to get more data on it. Sure.
Okay. Just a quick one. Where are you with the great disclosure that we heard so much about at the beginning of the year?
We're still working on it. The big advances have been with the law enforcement and FBI teams that have concluded that these are criminal operations, and they've concluded that it's very much time to start looking hard at some of the illegal operations that have gone on both in government and in corporate contractors for the government. And that is progressing very, very quickly, actually. So I can't go into a lot of details on that, but it is great progress there. I think where things are stalled, quite frankly, is in the Congress and at the White House. The White House is going to have to eventually authorize some special operations against these illegally run unconstitutional programs. Okay. So I think that's the bigger problem.
Dr. Greer, as always, a pleasure. Good to see you, my friend.
Good to see you, my friend.
Hope to have you back soon. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll see you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. So now let's jump to this interview that Finnerty did keep his word. He did interview Dr. Avi Loeb the very next day, like he promised Dr. Stephen Greer. And this is where Dr. Avi Loeb drops that he thinks it's 40%, likely that this is a designed trajectory, right? Designed alien craft. So let's jump in because he says a lot more. Here's the first part.
An update to a story that we brought you last night. And look, some people just don't find this stuff interesting or realistic, and that's fair, but we do. because at some point, this stuff could matter in a very serious way. There is a rock in outer space that just passed Saturn, twice the size of the asteroid that killed the dinosaurs, and it's heading toward Earth right now. Some scientists claim it's a comet, but one Harvard professor and physicist thinks otherwise. In fact, he says it could be an alien technology from another planet. Joining us now for more, Harvard professor Avi Loeb. Professor, good to see you.
Thanks for having me.
What is it about this comet that is not normal to you?
Well, if it's a rock, it's too big to be delivered to our neighborhood once per decade. It should arrive, a rock of 20 kilometers in diameter should arrive once per 10,000 years or so. And moreover, there is no cometary tail behind it. There is a little bit of fuzz ahead of it, some glow that could be just dirt on its surface that was evaporated by the sunlight. And it has a very fine-tuned trajectory that lies in the plane of the planets around the sun. The chance of that happening is 1 in 500. Also, the chance of it coming so close to several planets like Mars, Venus, and Jupiter is extremely small, 1 in 20,000. And moreover, when it comes closest to the sun, we will not be able to observe it. The Earth is on the opposite side. And I'm just saying, we have to monitor it. I give it a 40% chance of having a designed trajectory, something that was planned by some intelligence out there. And now in the next decade, we'll find more objects coming from interstellar space, and we need to make sure that none of them poses a threat to Earth.
And you give this a 40% chance that this is somehow an alien technology, 40%?
Yes, because there are all these anomalies about it, very unlikely to be a random situation. I also suggested using the Juno spacecraft currently in orbit around Jupiter to probe it, because it will come close to Jupiter in March 2026. And instead of getting rid of Juno, the plan was to put it into Jupiter in September this year. Instead of that, I suggest extending the mission by another 6 months and bringing it close to the path of 3I Atlas, this new object. And in fact, Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna spoke with me on the phone about 10 days ago and sent a letter to NASA encouraging them to do that.
Okay, that was my next question. I'm wondering if anyone from a 3-letter government agency or anyone in Congress or the executive branch has reached out to you. Has anyone asked you to stop giving interviews?
All right, so stay with me. There's still a little bit more left here. And look, it's just very interesting. And I appreciate Dr. Avi Loeb's enthusiasm about this and sort of being a voice on this particular angle of it. Because plenty of people are going to say it's comets. Great, let them. We do need some people saying it could be something else. Let's take a look at it. Let's take a closer look. Like he is suggesting. I don't see what's wrong with that. And I don't see what's wrong with trying to get more information and making these sort of claims. I really don't. I really just don't see the issue. And, by October 29th, we will hear more about it, about this. And maybe Dr. Avi Loeb, can convince NASA and members of Congress to take a closer look at this particular object.
I'm wondering if anyone from a 3-letter government agency or anyone in Congress or the executive branch has reached out to you. Has anyone asked you to stop giving interviews?
No,
Not
nobody.
yet.
This is a scientific matter as to the nature of this object. And a lot of people are curious about it. I find it puzzling. I defined a scale where 0 represents a natural object and 10 represents technological object, and at the moment we just don't have enough data to decide. But within a month or 2, we should have enough data to clearly tell whether it shows the signatures of a comet or something else.
You are a man of science, Professor, and you say this could be an alien life form. Are you saying without a doubt that alien life does exist? And why do you think so, if yes?
Well, out of modesty, I don't think that we are necessarily the pinnacle of creation. I think if you look at what happens around the globe, that there is room for improvement, and there are lots of Earth-Sun analogs in our cosmic street. There are billions of them, and imagining that we are the only ones is just unreasonable. And the best way to find out is to search, not to have an opinion.
Yeah.
We're talking about a blind date of interstellar proportions. And in a blind date, you better watch and observe before
you definitely
expressing
need
an
to watch
opinion.
on a blind date. But I'll tell you what, if this is a blind date, we better be paying attention. Are these things hostile? Have you calculated that? 40% chance this is alien. What percentage are they hostile? Because there's three doors. They're hostile, they're not hostile, or this is just a comet.
Exactly. We don't have any information on if it is technological, whether it's hostile or friendly. I suggested beaming a friendly message to it and saying, hello, welcome to our cosmic neighborhood, and we seek peace. That would be my message.
How do we do that? Mathematically, I guess? Can't just throw it out there in English.
Well, the language is an issue, but we can definitely beam a radio signal to it.
Welcome.
And the question is maybe a Morse code or something.
Yeah, Morse code. Okay. Well, thank you very much, Professor. I'd love to have you back. I hope the audience would love to have you back. I enjoyed this, and I think this is so darn fascinating. Avi Loeb, thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. So, look, I do admit that 40% is really high as far as like, is this an alien object? But what do I know? I'm not a Harvard astrophysicist like Dr. Avi Loeb. You know what I mean? I can't really armchair this. It's like an expert saying something. I think other experts, can weigh in. But like I said, let them say this. What's wrong with that? I've interviewed Dr. Avi Loeb a couple times on Vetted, right? He's a really nice guy. And I just like that he thinks like this. He's very curious. Why not? He's not saying it is XYZ. He's saying it could be. And let's take a closer look. And what is wrong with that? I think that's totally reasonable. So I hope that happens. And it was interesting about Greer, being confronted with sort of these deadlines, right, that come up. Disclosure's coming, we'll send you this information, got this, got that, got these things going, that's why I just wouldn't say anything. Just work on it and release it, when it comes out. I would stop promising disclosure. I think that's an empty promise that can never be fulfilled, because no matter what quote you think disclosure is, someone else thinks it's something different. You never win. I would just keep bringing to light truth. Helping witnesses come forward, telling more stories, more data. Just leave it at that. The only way true disclosure happens is if the aliens reveal themselves. All right, y'all. We'll see you on the next one. Remember, every day's a gift, y'all. Peace.